Have you ever found yourself reacting, maybe overreacting, to something happening right now, but feeling like it's actually about the past?
Hmm.
That really deep, unsettling feeling of being stuck, you know, even when logically you know you're safe in the present moment.
Yeah, that feeling is so common. It's a really profound human experience.
And it's right at the core of our deep dive today.
Mhm.
Trauma. We want to explore not just, what it is,
Right.
but how it really profoundly shapes our brains, our bodies, and crucially, the clear pathways that exist towards healing.
Exactly. Our mission here is really to offer you a kind of shortcut to understanding trauma, insights that honestly can be life-changing.
Mm.
We're going to pull back the curtain on the science, look at the latest research on its effects, and then lay out some evidence-based approaches to recovery that offer real, tangible hope.
Yeah, and whether you're maybe grappling with a single really overwhelming event or maybe navigating the complexities of developmental trauma from childhood, or perhaps you're supporting someone you care about on their journey. This conversation, we hope, is designed to equip you with some powerful knowledge.
It's an assurance, really, that healing isn't just like a vague possibility.
Right.
It's a very real and actually probable outcome when you have the right understanding and the right support.
That's so important to hear.
But before we really dive in, we just want to gently acknowledge that this topic, well, it can be
For
challenging.
sure.
It might bring up difficult feelings or memories for you. So please, take care of yourself as you listen. Pause if you need to.
Yeah, definitely pause.
And remember, reaching out for professional support is always a sign of incredible strength, not weakness.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so where should we start? Maybe by challenging how many of us first think about trauma.
That's a great place to begin. For a long time, the focus was mostly on what we might call big T events.
Right, like accidents, disasters, war, the really obvious stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those are absolutely traumatic, no question. But our understanding has really expanded dramatically since then.
So how has that definition evolved beyond just those external events?
Well, it's a crucial starting point. What we've come to understand, thanks to thinkers like Dr. Gabor Mate,
Ah, yes.
is his idea that trauma is not what happens to you, but what happens inside you as a result of what happened to you.
Say that again. What happens inside you?
As a result of what happened to you.
Hmm.
It's not just a clever phrase, it's a fundamental paradigm shift.
Okay. Also,
It moves our focus from the external event itself,
right.
which often we can't change, to the internal impact, how our system adapted.
Ah, the adaptation.
Yeah, and that shift empowers us to look inward for healing, rather than feeling defined solely by the event.
And that really highlights the subjective nature of it all, doesn't it?
Totally.
What's deeply overwhelming for one person might be processed differently by another. And this isn't about weakness.
I know.
It's about, well, individual differences, right? Nervous system sensitivity, past experiences, the support you had, even how old you were when it happened.
Exactly. Which means we really can't rank trauma or dismiss anyone's experience. It's so personal.
Yeah, that comparison trap is so unhelpful.
Precisely. And this naturally leads us to distinguish between those big T traumas, the obvious single incidents like abuse, neglect, violence,
Mm-hmm.
and what are often called little T traumas.
Okay, little t. What falls under that?
These are often smaller, maybe seemingly less significant, but often repeated experiences. Things like chronic criticism, emotional neglect, bullying, being constantly misunderstood.
Oh, wow. Things that might get brushed off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the critical insight here is that these little T experiences can have an equally profound impact, sometimes even more insidious,
Really?
especially when they're cumulative or when they happen during crucial developmental periods. Imagine a child constantly being told they're too sensitive.
Yeah, that message sinks in deep.
It chips away at their core sense of self, their trust in their own feelings. That constant invalidation is traumatic.
And those repeated little t experiences, especially in childhood, that leads us straight into developmental and complex trauma, doesn't it?
It often does. These are experiences that happen repeatedly, often within relationships that were supposed to be safe. Caregiver relationships, usually.
The very places you should feel secure.
Right. And Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's research highlights how the symptoms stemming from this kind of trauma can look like so many other things.
Like what?
Anxiety, depression, ADHD, relationship problems. But underneath, the root cause is often a nervous system shaped by early trauma, just trying to cope. It really shakes our core sense of self, our ability to regulate emotions, how we form relationships,
This impacts everything.
pretty much. And expanding out even further, trauma isn't always just individual. It can be intergenerational.
Passed down. How does that work?
Think about the echoes of huge historical traumas like slavery, genocide, war. They influence learned behaviors, family stories, community norms, maybe even epigenetic changes passed down biologically.
Wow. And then there's collective trauma, too.
Yes, things like pandemics, natural disasters, major social upheavals, they affect entire communities, creating these widespread, shared trauma responses that can really shape a society's fabric.
What's been truly transformative for me in learning about this is reframing the responses to trauma.
Ah, yes, crucial point.
They're not pathologies, right? They're adaptations.
Exactly. Hypervigilance, constantly scanning for danger, dissociation, checking out to escape overwhelm, emotional numbing, protecting yourself from feeling too much, even people-pleasing, trying to keep yourself safe by appeasing others.
These were all intelligent survival strategies.
Incredibly intelligent. Your system developed them to keep you safe in circumstances that felt overwhelming or life-threatening at the time.
So healing isn't about getting rid of those responses.
Not at all. It's about updating the system, helping your nervous system recognize that those strategies, while brilliant then, might not be necessary or helpful in the present moment. It's about having more choice.
That makes so much sense. It connects to Dr. Dan Siegel's window of tolerance idea, doesn't it?
Beautifully. Yeah, imagine that window as your optimal zone of functioning.
Where you can handle life's ups and downs, think clearly, feel okay.
Right. Trauma tends to narrow that window, so things that maybe wouldn't have bothered you much before now easily push you outside that zone.
Into hyper-arousal, like feeling overwhelmed, anxious, agitated.
Exactly. Or into hyperarousal, shutting down, feeling numb, disconnected, foggy.
Understanding that really helps normalize those intense reactions. It's not that you're broken. Your operating window has just gotten smaller.
Precisely. It's your system trying to manage within that narrower range.
And behind all this, there's some fascinating neurobiology. Trauma literally changes the brain, right?
It does. We see changes in structure and function. Often a hyperactive amygdala that's the brain's smoke detector or alarm bell.
Always on high alert.
Yeah. And sometimes a shrinking hippocampus, which is vital for memory consolidation and context. And the prefrontal cortex, our thinking, planning, rational brain.
The part that helps us calm down.
Right. It can actually go offline during moments of intense stress or triggering. Blood flow literally shifts away from it.
Wow. But
Here's the hopeful part,
the most hopeful part. Neuroplasticity.
meaning the brain can change.
These impacts are not necessarily permanent. Our brains have an incredible lifelong capacity to heal, to rewire, to form new, healthier neural pathways.
That's huge.
It's everything, really. So if we step back and look at the big picture, trauma isn't about being broken. It's profoundly human. It reflects the intelligent ways our bodies and minds tried to protect us.
And remembering it's not your fault is key.
Absolutely not your fault. But healing is your responsibility in the sense of your capacity to respond, to make choices now on your healing journey.
Yeah, responsibility.
Exactly. And the human capacity for resilience and even post-traumatic growth is truly extraordinary.
Okay, let's get more specific then. What's actually happening inside us, in the brain and body, when trauma hits? That hand-brain model you mentioned.
Right, Dr. Siegel's model,
Yeah.
super helpful visual. So picture your hand, your wrist is the brainstem. Oldest part, basic survival functions, breathing, heart rate.
Exactly. The reptilian brain, Dr. Porges calls it. Then tuck your thumb across your palm. That's the limbic system.
Emotional brain, amygdala in there, the alarm bell.
Yep, amygdala for alarm, hippocampus for memory context, the mammalian brain, and then wrap your fingers over your thumb. That's the neocortex.
Our thinking, rational, human brain. Language, planning, self-awareness.
Right. So what happens when that amygdala alarm bell rings loudly, like in a traumatic moment?
Everything shifts.
Instantly. The amygdala blares the alarm, triggering a rapid flood of stress hormones, adrenaline, cortisol,
Ditch of flight juice.
basically. Blood rushes to your major muscle groups, heart rate spikes, breathing changes, preparing you for action. But crucially,
The thinking brain goes offline.
those fingers, the neocortex, literally get less blood flow. Survival takes priority. That's why people often can't think clearly, find words, make rational decisions during or right after trauma. The higher brain functions are sidelined.
Which explains why those classic fight, flight, or freeze responses are so automatic they bypass conscious thought.
Completely. They're brainstem and limbic system survival responses.
Yeah.
Fight, anger, rage, tension, maybe physical aggression, flight, restlessness, anxiety, needing to escape, which can even be mental escape, like workaholism.
And freeze.
That profound paralysis.
Mm.
Feeling numb, disconnected, unable to move or speak, it's often misunderstood as compliance or weakness.
But it's a total system shutdown for survival.
Exactly. And we absolutely have to mention the fourth response, identified by Pete Walker. Fawn.
Fawn. Tell me about that.
This is especially common in complex or developmental trauma. It's where you instinctively try to please or appease the source of the threat, abandoning your own needs, your boundaries, to avoid conflict or further harm.
Becoming who they need you to be to stay safe.
It's another brilliant, though often exhausting, long-term adaptation to an unsafe environment.
And when our brain is locked in that survival state, how does it affect memory?
Memory formation gets seriously disrupted. Instead of storing the experience as a coherent story with a beginning, middle, and end, filed neatly in the past.
It gets fragmented.
Yes. Traumatic memories often get stored as raw, unprocessed sensory fragments. Sounds, smells, images, body sensations, intense emotions, disconnected from context.
Which is why flashbacks can feel so real, like it's happening now.
Exactly. The memory hasn't been properly time-stamped as past. It feels immediate and current when triggered.
And this leads to Dr. Van Kolk's point. The body keeps the score.
It absolutely does.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma isn't just an idea or a bad memory. It gets lodged in the body. Chronic muscle tension, digestive problems, breathing issues, immune system dysfunction, sleep disturbances.
Your body is still living the trauma.
It stays on high alert, in that state of hypervigilance, constantly scanning for threats. It's like having a car alarm that's way too sensitive, going off all the time, utterly exhausting.
And sometimes, when it's all just too much, dissociation kicks in.
Yes, dissociation is the mind's incredible protective mechanism. It's a disconnection from thoughts, feelings, body sensations, your surroundings, even your sense of identity.
It exists on a spectrum, right? From mild spacing out to
more severe experiences like feeling detached from your body, like you're watching yourself from afar, or having significant memory gaps around the trauma. It's a brilliant survival strategy in the moment.
but can become problematic if it's the main way of coping later on.
Exactly. So at its core, trauma can cause the nervous system to get stuck, essentially frozen in the past, reacting to present-day situations as if the original danger is still happening.
That sounds bleak, but back to the hope.
Always back to the hope. Neuroplasticity,
Right.
these brain impacts, these patterns, they are not necessarily permanent. The brain can heal, it can rewire, it can form new pathways that support regulation, safety, and resilience.
The system can learn that the danger is over.
It absolutely can.
Oh.
That's the foundation of trauma recovery.
Okay, knowing that healing is possible, does understanding the type of trauma someone experienced help tailor the approach? Like acute versus chronic?
It definitely can. Acute trauma, often a single incident like a car accident or an assault, might leave the person's core sense of self relatively intact, even if deeply shaken. The work might focus more directly on processing that specific event.
Whereas chronic trauma,
That involves repeated or prolonged exposure to overwhelming events like ongoing abuse, neglect, or living in a war zone. This often shapes a person's entire worldview, their fundamental sense of safety, their identity.
which includes developmental trauma.
Precisely. Developmental or complex trauma happens repeatedly during childhood, usually within those early attachment relationships. It doesn't just impact the developing brain and nervous system, it actively shapes them.
So it affects the very foundation of who you are.
Yes. Dr. Judith Herman talks about 3 core areas profoundly affected: self-regulation, managing emotions and impulses; self-concept, your sense of worth and identity; and relationships, how you connect with others. Children adapt to unsafe environments by changing who they are at a fundamental level.
And attachment trauma fits in here too.
It's a key aspect of developmental trauma. Inconsistent or unavailable caregivers can lead to insecure attachment patterns later in life, like anxious attachment, always fearing abandonment, or avoidant attachment, relying heavily on self-sufficiency and struggling with intimacy.
Or disorganized attachment, which sounds really challenging.
It is. That often comes from caregivers who are simultaneously a source of comfort and fear. It creates intense internal chaos and difficulty making sense of relationships.
It's also really important to acknowledge trauma that's often overlooked, isn't it?
Absolutely, like medical or procedural trauma.
Yeah, experiences in hospitals, surgeries, especially for kids, helplessness, pain, maybe a life threat, even when people are trying to help.
Right, the confusion when helpers are also causing distress can be very traumatic. And then there's vicarious or secondary trauma.
Experiencing symptoms just from exposure to others' trauma.
Yes, common for therapists, first responders, journalists, even family members. It reminds us our nervous system responds profoundly to witnessing suffering, not just experiencing it directly.
There's also betrayal trauma.
Dr. Jennifer Freed's work. This is specific to situations where the people we depend on for survival, often caregivers or partners, are also the ones harming us. It creates a terrible bind and often leads to splitting off awareness, denial, or minimization as survival strategies.
And identity-based trauma.
Yes, trauma experienced due to one's identity, race, gender, sexuality, disability, religion. It adds layers of harm, often involving systemic oppression, internalized shame, and complex challenges navigating the world.
So many different facets.
It highlights why understanding the type of trauma can be useful. An approach for a single incident might differ from long-term work needed for developmental trauma, which often involves relational repair and building foundational safety.
But the common thread
Is always overwhelming experience and intelligent adaptations. And the empowering message remains. Healing is possible for all types of trauma.
Okay, let's shift to the neuroscience of recovery. This feels like where the hope really solidifies. Neuroplasticity is key, right?
It's the absolute bedrock of hope in trauma recovery. The brain's astonishing lifelong ability to reorganize itself, form new neural connections, prune old ones, even generate new neurons. It's not fixed, it's adaptable.
It can actually change its structure and function through experience.
Exactly. Think back to Dr. Judith Herman's 3 phases of recovery and how they align with neurobiology. Phase 1, safety and stabilization.
Getting grounded, feeling safe in the present.
Neurologically, this is about calming that hyperactive amygdala, strengthening the prefrontal cortex's ability to regulate, building resources.
Okay, phase 2.
Remembrance and mourning. This involves processing the traumatic memories, helping the hippocampus properly encode them as past events, integrating those fragmented pieces into a coherent narrative, and grieving the losses associated with the trauma.
Allowing the brain to file it away correctly.
And strengthening connections between the emotional limbic areas and the rational neocortex. Then phase 3, reconnection.
Moving forward, building a meaningful life.
Yes, rebuilding life and relationships from a place of healing, pursuing meaningful goals. Neurologically, this involves strengthening the brain's social engagement system, building new pathways for connection, purpose, and growth.
And all of this helps expand that window of tolerance we talked about earlier.
Precisely. Healing is expanding that window through neural integration, better communication, and collaboration between different brain parts.
What helps with that integration?
So many things. Mindfulness practices, body-based approaches like somatic therapies or yoga, safe relational experiences, creative expression, narrative work. They all help knit the brain back together.
And you mentioned memory reconsolidation before. That sounds revolutionary.
It's incredibly exciting. The discovery that when memories are recalled, they enter a temporary changeable state if they're recalled in a context of safety.
So you can actually update the traumatic memory.
Essentially, yes. You can update the emotional charge, the meaning associated with it, integrate it differently. It's a key mechanism behind therapies like EMDR and RT.
And the vagus nerve, you mentioned its role too.
Huge role. Dr. Stephen Porges's polyvagal theory illuminates this. The vagus nerve is like the communication highway for the parasympathetic nervous system. It helps us shift out of those survival states, sympathetic fight or flight, or dorsal vagal shutdown freeze.
And into the ventral vagal state.
Exactly. That state of calm, connection, safety, social engagement, where we feel regulated and present.
What stimulates the vagus nerve to help us get there?
Simple things, often. Deep, slow breathing where the exhale is longer than the inhale, humming, singing, gargling, gentle movement, cold water exposure like splashing your face, positive social connection, laughter.
Things we can actually do. This highlights why combining top-down talk therapy with bottom-up body-based approaches is often so effective, right?
Absolutely. Top-down works with thoughts and meanings. Bottom-up works directly with the nervous system, sensations, and movement patterns where trauma is held. You often need both for deep, integrated healing.
And the social brain aspect, co-regulation.
That's so vital. As Dr. Siegel explains, humans are wired to regulate each other's nervous systems. Being in the presence of a calm, attuned, regulated person, like a good therapist, partner, or friend, can literally help your nervous system settle down.
Through feeling seen, understood.
Through attunement, resonance, feeling safe. This isn't just psychological. It involves mirror neurons and shifts in neurochemicals. We move away from chronic stress hormones like cortisol,
Towards healing neurochemicals.
like oxytocin, the bonding hormone, GABA, calming neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, supporting feelings of safety, connection, and well-being.
It makes sense why healing takes time then. It's actual rewiring.
It is. It requires repetition, building new pathways, establishing safety, integrating experiences, but the neuroscientific evidence is overwhelming. These changes are possible, they're lasting, and they often lead to increased empathy, deeper relationships, and a resilience that feels truly authentic.
The brain's capacity to heal offers so much hope.
Profound hope. Recovery isn't just about symptom reduction, it's transformative. It helps you become more fully yourself.
Okay, building on that neuroscience, let's talk about the practical tools. What are some of the main evidence-based therapies that help people heal from trauma?
Great question. There are several really effective ones. Let's start with trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, or TFCBT.
Okay, CBT, but specifically for trauma, how does it work?
It helps you identify and challenge distorted thoughts related to the trauma, learn practical coping skills for managing distress, and then gradually, safely, expose yourself to trauma reminders or memories to process them.
What's it best for generally?
Often very effective for single-incident traumas, situations with clear triggers, and for people who respond well to structured approaches and skill building.
Got it. Then there's EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. That one sounds intriguing.
It is. It involves holding a traumatic memory in mind while engaging in bilateral stimulation, typically following the therapist's fingers with your eyes, or using handheld tappers or sounds that alternate side to side.
And the theory behind that?
The idea is that this bilateral stimulation activates brain processes similar to those during REM sleep, helping the brain effectively reprocess and integrate those stuck, fragmented traumatic memories.
What are its strengths?
It can often lead to rapid changes, works directly with the memory networks, and doesn't necessarily require prolonged talking about the event. Very powerful for many types of trauma, single or multiple incidents.
What about approaches that focus more on the body, like somatic experiencing?
SE, developed by Dr. Peter Levine. This is profoundly helpful, especially for those who feel disconnected from their body or experience a lot of physical symptoms.
How does it work? It's not about reliving the trauma.
No, not intensely. It focuses on gently tracking body sensations, noticing where survival energy from thwarted fight-or-flight responses might be stuck,
Yeah.
and facilitating its gentle release and completion.
So it works with the body's wisdom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very gentle, aims to be non-re-traumatizing, and trusts the body's innate capacity to heal. Excellent for complex trauma, dissociation, and that feeling of being disconnected from your physical self.
And then there's internal family systems, IFS. That sounds different again.
It is, developed by Dr. Richard Schwartz. IFS views the psyche as having different parts, like an inner critic part, an anxious part, a perfectionist part, a firefighter part that reacts impulsively.
Okay.
And the goal is to get to know these parts, understand their protective intentions, even if their methods are problematic, and heal the underlying pain they carry, all while strengthening connection to the core self. Yes, IFS posits that everyone has a core self, characterized by qualities like compassion, curiosity, confidence, and calm. Therapy helps access this self to lead the internal system.
What's that good for?
It's incredibly empowering and non-pathologizing, really effective for complex trauma, working with strong internal critics or conflicting parts, and building self-compassion and internal leadership.
We should also mention dialectical behavior therapy, DBT.
Absolutely. While not solely a trauma therapy, its skills are invaluable for trauma survivors, especially those with complex trauma histories.
What are the core skills?
4 modules: mindfulness, being present; distress tolerance, surviving crises without making things worse; emotion regulation, understanding and managing emotions; and interpersonal effectiveness, navigating relationships effectively.
So very practical, concrete skills.
Extremely practical, helps build a foundation of stability and coping, which is often crucial before deeper trauma processing can happen safely. Very effective for emotional dysregulation, impulsivity, and histories of self-harm.
There are other therapies too, like ART-T body-based work, like trauma-sensitive yoga, neurofeedback, even emerging research on psychedelic-assisted therapy.
Yes, the field is constantly evolving. Accelerated resolution therapy, RT, uses eye movements similarly to EMDR, but with more visualization and memory replacement techniques. Trauma-sensitive yoga focuses on choice, embodiment, and nervous system regulation through movement. Neurofeedback trains the brain towards more regulated patterns directly. And yes, MDMA and psilocybin-assisted therapies are showing incredible promise in clinical trials, particularly for PTSD, by potentially reducing fear responses and increasing openness during therapy. But those require very specialized settings and trained facilitators.
So it's not usually just one therapy.
Often, the most effective treatment combines approaches, tailored to the individual and where they are in their healing process. Remember those phases. Safety first, then processing, then reconnection.
How do you choose the right approach for a therapist?
Great question. Consider the type of trauma, your personal preferences, structured versus less structured, talk versus body focus, your current resources and stability, and past therapy experiences. When looking for a therapist,
What should you look for?
definitely someone with specialized training in trauma. Someone who understands the nervous system, prioritizes safety and pacing, doesn't push too fast, is culturally competent, collaborative, and knows how to work with dissociation, if that's present. Consultation calls are key to see if it feels like a good fit.
And any red flags to watch out for?
Yes. Be cautious if a therapist pushes you too fast into painful memories before you feel ready or resourced. Beware of promises of quick fixes. A lack of understanding about the body's role in trauma is a concern. Feeling judged or pressured, reasonable to forgive before you're ready, is not okay. And ensure they actually have specific trauma training, not just general therapy experience.
And timing is everything, right? You might not be ready for deep processing right away.
Exactly. Building safety, stability, and resources might be the crucial first step. It's not avoidance, it's wisdom. Honoring your own pace is paramount.
Okay, as we move towards wrapping up, let's touch on something really empowering: resilience and post-traumatic growth.
Yes, PTG, a concept developed by Dr. Richard Tedeschi and Dr. Lawrence Calhoun. It refers to the positive psychological changes that can actually emerge from the struggle with major life crises, including trauma.
It's not about saying the trauma was good.
Not at all. It's absolutely not toxic positivity or being grateful for the trauma itself. It's about how the struggle with the trauma can, for some people, lead to transformation and growth afterward, transforming pain into hard-won wisdom.
What does that growth look like?
It typically shows up in 5 main areas. A deeper appreciation for life, often with changed priorities. Relating differently to others, usually with more empathy and compassion. A recognized sense of personal strength. If I got through that, I can handle anything. Seeing new possibilities in life that weren't apparent before. And often, a deepened sense of spirituality, or finding greater meaning and purpose.
So it's different from just resilience.
Yes. Resilience is often described as bouncing back to your previous level of functioning after adversity. PTG is more like bouncing forward, becoming in some ways more than you were before, transformed by the experience.
How do we build the foundation for that? Does resilience come first?
Resilience is definitely the foundation upon which growth can occur. Building resilience involves cultivating those emotional regulation skills we talked about, practicing self-compassion. Dr. Kristen Neff's work is key here, building your capacity to make meaning out of difficult experiences, strengthening social connections, developing flexible thinking, and having a solid physical foundation: sleep, nutrition, movement.
And what specifically helps foster the growth part?
Actively engaging in coping, rather than just avoiding. Deliberately working to make sense of the experience and integrate it into your life story. Seeking social support and being able to disclose your experience safely. Sometimes needing to reconstruct core beliefs about yourself, others, or the world that were shattered by the trauma. And engaging in active reflection on the experience and its impact over time.
Trauma as a harsh teacher, but one that can impart wisdom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The wisdom gained might include a deeper acceptance of uncertainty, an appreciation for life's complexities, a profound understanding of interconnection, and a more embodied, present way of being in the world.
Are there practical things people can do to cultivate that?
Yes. Things like intentionally practicing gratitude, finding ways to be of service to others based on your experience, engaging in creative expression, writing, art, music, mindfulness practices, continuing to learn and educate yourself. Even embracing physical challenges can foster a sense of strength and agency.
But it's really important to say not everyone experiences PTG, right? And that's okay.
Absolutely crucial point. Growth is not a requirement for healing. Some people's focus is rightly on finding safety, stability, and symptom relief, and that is a massive achievement. There should be no pressure to grow from trauma, and certainly no implication that if you don't, you've somehow failed. And again, it's never about being grateful for the trauma.
It's about finding meaning in spite of it, perhaps.
Or meaning in the response to it. Many survivors find that their healing journey itself becomes a source of strength and purpose, sometimes leading them to help others, embodying that wounded healer archetype Carl Jung talked about, offering empathy and hope born from lived experience.
And it's an ongoing process, not a destination.
Definitely. PTG, like healing itself, isn't a place you arrive at and stay. It's an ongoing process of integration, learning, adapting, and contributing throughout life. The goal isn't invulnerability. It's meeting life's inevitable difficulties with more wisdom, compassion, and a deep knowing that healing and growth are always possible.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful. As we wrap up, let's distill some really practical first steps someone listening might take starting today or this week.
Good idea. Let's make it concrete. So this week, maybe start with a gentle self-assessment. Just noticing. What symptoms or struggles are most present? What coping strategies are you using, helpful or unhelpful? What support do you have? What's one small change you might wish for? No judgment, just awareness.
And maybe pick one simple grounding practice.
Yes. Keep it super simple. Maybe 3 slow, deep breaths, focusing on the exhale. Or a quick body scan, just noticing your feet on the floor, the seat supporting you. Or the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. Name 5 things you see, 4 things you feel, 3 things you hear, 2 things you smell, 1 thing you taste. Just something to anchor you in the present moment. Try it once a day.
Okay, simple first steps. What about within the first month?
This might be a good time to start researching. Look up trauma-informed therapists in your area if that feels right. Many offer free short consultation calls. Use them. See who feels like a good fit.
And build a resource toolkit.
Yeah, I love that idea. Gather things that feel calming or grounding to you. Could be music playlists, specific scents like essential oils, comforting textures, a soft blanket, photos, a stress ball, whatever helps your system feel even a little bit safer or calmer. Keep them accessible.
And maybe start incorporating gentle body practices.
Gently is the key word. Maybe some simple stretching in the morning, a mindful walk in nature, really noticing your surroundings, putting on music you love, and just moving your body however feels good, no right or wrong way. Just inviting connection with your body.
Okay, so that's the first month. Looking ahead, say, the next 90 days, building a foundation.
Exactly. Focus on establishing consistency in basic self-care. Prioritize sleep as much as possible. Pay attention to nutrition. Stable blood sugar helps regulate mood. Incorporate regular movement that feels good, not punitive. Maybe notice patterns around substances.
And building the support network.
Crucial. If it feels right, look into trauma-informed support groups, online or in person. Reconnect with friends or family members who feel genuinely safe and supportive. Find communities where you feel understood. Isolation really hinders healing.
And this is often when people might start consistent professional support.
Yes, if that's the path they choose. Starting regular sessions with a trauma-informed therapist, building that relationship, establishing safety, and beginning to map out the journey.
And for ongoing long-term healing, what practices sustain it?
Developing mindfulness skills becomes really valuable. Formal meditation, if that works for you, but also just bringing mindful awareness to daily activities, noticing thoughts, feelings, sensations without judgment.
Creating meaning from the experience?
Yes, finding ways to integrate the experience into your life story in a way that feels empowering. Maybe through helping others, advocacy, creative expression, contributing to your community, turning pain into purpose if and when that feels right.
And consciously working on relationship patterns.
Huge. Practicing setting boundaries, learning to ask for and receive support, communicating needs more directly, working through issues of trust, both self-trust and trust in others. This is often where the deepest healing happens.
Throughout this whole journey, what are the key guidelines to keep in mind?
Go at your own pace. Seriously, there's no timeline. Expect nonlinear progress. Healing isn't a straight line. There will be ups and downs. Practice relentless self-compassion. Treat yourself as you would treat a loved friend going through this. Intentionally build in support systems. And learn to trust your body's wisdom. It holds so much information about what you need.
And are there warning signs to watch for, indicators that someone might need more immediate or intensive support?
Yes, absolutely critical to know these. If you notice increasing self-destructive behaviors, if thoughts of self-harm or suicide arise or intensify, if you find yourself unable to function in basic daily life work, self-care, if severe dissociation is interfering with safety or daily living, or if you're experiencing overwhelming emotional flooding that you consistently can't manage.
If any of those happen,
please reach out for professional help immediately. Contact a crisis line, tell a trusted person, go to an emergency room if needed. Don't try to tough it out alone.
Okay, and for further learning, any key resources, books, websites?
Definitely. Foundational books include The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk, Trauma and Recovery by Judith Herman, Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker is excellent for developmental trauma. My Grandmother's Hands by Rezel Menakem for racialized and intergenerational trauma. Brené Brown's work on shame and vulnerability is also highly relevant.
Online resources.
The National Child Traumatic Stress Network in ctsn.org has great resources. The International Society for Traumatic Stress Studies, ISS.org, is more research-focused but informative. The Trauma Research Foundation, founded by Van der Kolk, also has resources.
And crisis support again.
In the U.S., the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 988. The crisis text line is HOME to 741741. RAINN, RAIINN.org, is specific to sexual assault.
And finding therapists.
Psychology Today has a searchable directory. Specific therapy modalities often have their own directories, like EMDRIA for EMDR therapists or Somatic Experiencing International for SE practitioners.
That's a wealth of resources. Thank you. As we really conclude this deep dive now, what's the core message you want listeners to take away?
I think it comes back to that fundamental truth. You are not defined by what happened to you. You are defined by how you choose to heal, how you choose to grow, and how you choose to live your life moving forward. Trauma isn't something you just get over. It's something you integrate into the larger story of who you are. But it doesn't have to dictate your present or your future.
And you're not alone.
Absolutely not alone. Trauma touches almost every human life in some way. There is zero shame in acknowledging its impact. And the science is incredibly hopeful. Your brain can heal, your nervous system can regulate, new patterns are possible for you.
That capacity for healing lives within us.
It truly does. That inherent capacity for resilience, for growth, for responding, it lives within you. Support might be needed to access it, to nurture it, but it's there. It's part of your deepest self.
Your journey is unique and valuable.
Profoundly valuable. And the wisdom, the sensitivity, the empathy you gain through this difficult process, those are extraordinary gifts. Gifts to yourself and often gifts to the world.
Thank you. This has been incredibly insightful. If this deep dive resonated with you listening, please consider sharing it with someone else who might need to hear this message. Healing really does happen in connection, in community.
So true.
And next week, we're going to be exploring another really crucial topic that often follows trauma: how to rebuild trust, both self-trust and trust in relationships, especially after experiences of betrayal.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
It's essential.
Me too. Until then, everyone listening, please be gentle with yourself. Honor your courage just for engaging with this topic. Remember, healing is a journey, not a race, not a destination even. And you are absolutely worthy of safety, connection, and joy. Take good care.